Buckle in because we have a story time about my neighbors from hell. This is also why we were forced to move 2 months before our lease actually ended. A lot of you guys know we just moved into our dream house after living in a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment for the past 4 years. We moved in right before the pandemic started around 2019. All things aside, we loved it there. It was my happy place, my safe space. That is until our new neighbors moved in 2 months ago. The way our apartment complexes were set up was like duplexes, so you didn't have like large buildings. You just had 2 apartments stacked on top of each other, which was great because it allowed us to have a really big porch, but the apartment itself was like under 900 square feet, and you could hear everything in these buildings because they were old, they weren't built the best. So if someone was having an argument next door, you knew about it. I always like to introduce myself to new neighbors because our community was so small. Everyone knew everyone. So when this new family moved in, I went downstairs and like knocked on their door and was like, hey, you know, my name is Taylor, just in case you ever need anything, don't hesitate to come ask. It's like a woman in her late 20s, and she was like, hey, I live here with my 2 daughters. Immediately, she was very, very closed off and very like, wouldn't open the door very far. After they officially got settled in, it became a revolving door of people at every single hour of the day. What initially started off as like 2 kids and 1 adult living in that apartment became like 10 adults and 5 little kids under the age of 5 running around that apartment all hours of the day and night. Then this one guest in particular started coming over every night, really late at night, and he drove like a really decked out Dodge Charger that was made to sound like a monster truck. The bass was decked out so you could hear it like 2 miles away. He would come park his car at 10:30 at night outside our apartment and just leave it running for the entire time that he was there. I'm talking hours. So he would come over at 10:30 and then leave his car running until like 2 o'clock in the morning with his music playing. So the car and the music would be bumping when we were trying to sleep. After like 2 weeks of him doing this, I just had enough, and I went and caught him when he was going inside one night, and I was like, dude, you think you could maybe turn your car off when you're here? I really don't understand why you leave it running for hours at a time, but like whatever. He was like, yeah, sure, whatever, no problem. He didn't stop. At that point, I had to go to the office. I had no other choice. I was like, can you do anything about this? And turns out we were not the only ones that were complaining about this guy coming over and just leaving his car running with his bass bumping all night. Multiple residents had complained about him. We were like, yes, we'll get it taken care of, no worries. They never did anything either. After that, my mental health plummeted. I was so depressed because of the noise. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. I was constantly shouting, screaming, sounded like domestic arguments. They were constantly having at least like 10 to 15 people in their apartment at all times. I was just like, you know what, our lease is up in 2 months. I gotta stick it out. We're gonna move out of here, get into a house. But then fast forward to about a week and a half ago, it was about 1:30 in the morning on like a Wednesday, and I was up because I'm kind of a night owl. I was doing my nails, and all of a sudden I just hear someone laying on the horn outside our apartment. And I'm talking like not letting up, just it sounded like someone fell asleep on the horn and was just So I went outside. All of our neighbors came outside except for the people that lived below us. The guy would not let off his horn. So I went down there and I was like, what are you doing? It is 1:30 in the fucking morning. And he was like, I'm not leaving here until I get my fucking money. Like, I need my money right now. Where's my fucking money? It was just screaming, ballistic. And we were all like, what money? What are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Like, who are you here to see? He was like, him. He lives in that apartment. And he was pointing to the apartment below us. I didn't know who specifically he was talking about because there's so many people that went in and out of that apartment. But our neighbors just refused to come out. So he was getting angrier and angrier. Eventually, we had no choice but just to go inside and call the cops because he was not leaving. I did not want to be any more involved because I knew if someone was that angry and they were coming and looking for money at 1:30 in the morning, it could not be good. So this was kind of our tipping point. We were like, we don't feel safe here anymore. That guy could come back. I don't even know what they're involved in. I don't want to know. But we cannot live in that kind of situation. We have to get out now. If that wasn't bad enough, the next morning, some guy pulled up to the apartment. Again, it was screaming at whoever was in the apartment from outside. It was pounding on their door. Went inside for a second. It sounded like they had an altercation. He came back out with her kids and was like taking her kids away, putting them in his car, and he was screaming. He was like, you can't treat your fucking kids this way. You've got to feed your kids. I'm gonna call Child Protective Services on you. He called her a trifling ass bitch. She was screaming back at him. It was this whole entire mess. I was like, I can't do this anymore. We have to get out now. Like, I can't wait 2 more months. We literally started looking for houses that day, and we found our house. We're actually still paying rent on the apartment until October. Like, that is how badly I could not wait anymore. The complete 180 that my mental health has done in the short time that we've lived here is worth every extra penny we have to pay. And I'm aware that we are very privileged and to be able to do that, to be able to pay rent on 2 places. And I know that not everyone has that luxury and they have to deal with shitty living situations every single day. And my heart goes out to you because I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but like, I will never, ever, ever live in an apartment ever again.
So apparently I have a neighbor who is a Karen, and I'm just now realizing this. So I live 2 doors down from this lady, and I've literally lived in this neighborhood for 5 years. I've never seen her in my life. And she had this really ugly old red van with no license plate, no tabs, with like all the tires you know, deflated. We moved here in 2020, so for 5 years that van has just been sitting there, not in her driveway, but literally in the street. Just, it's an eyesore. And I guess eventually one of the neighbors called it in, and I noticed maybe a few months ago that the lady was outside with a guy helping her move her van into her driveway because one of the neighbors called the van in that it's, you know, it doesn't have tabs. It doesn't, you need to, either it's going to get towed or you need to move it into your driveway or whatever. So oftentimes I film in my car because I have kids, and when I do my story times, I don't want my kids to hear my stories, or I don't want them to, you know, I'll do videos during nap times, or I'll do videos when they're at daycare, whatever the case. So maybe like a month ago, I was filming in the spot where that van used to be because the lighting was really good there. And I felt like a presence on my left side, and I looked up, and it's the lady literally standing in the doorway staring at me. And I rolled the window down and I was like, can I help you? And she started like coming at me twisted, like low-key accusing me of being the one that called the van in. And I'm like, that van has been here for 5 years. If we were going to call it in, we would have done it right when we moved in here. Like, I'm sorry that happened, but that has nothing to do with me. And then she starts talking my ear off, and she was actually like nice, and, you know, she seems lonely. So I sat there and shot the shit with her, but I was also trying to hurry up and make my TikTok videos. So I chit-chatted with her for a second. I introduced myself after 5 years. You know, she's like, how old are your kids? Because she sees us like walking in the neighborhood and stuff like that, whatever. So that was like a month ago. So literally just now I decided to film, and it's not in her driveway, it's on the street in front of her house. But like, so many, it's annoying when people park in front of your house, but I had told her when we chit-chatted a month ago that like, if you ever see my car in this spot, I'm not the one that called the fucking cops on your van, and just know that I'm making TikTok videos. And she was like totally fine with it or whatever. She's like, that's fine. Like, you making TikTok videos doesn't bother me. And I was just like, she was just like, I'm already having a hard time. And, you know, whoever called in the van just made my life harder. And I'm just like, I'm really sorry. Like, that's really sad. Like, I had nothing to do with that van getting towed or whatever. But I noticed that now, between that month and now, she parks her normal car in the same spot where the van was. Like, she's literally, I think, going nuts in her head, playing mind games with herself that one of the neighbors is like out to get her. So she has been purposefully parking in the spot on the street and not in her driveway, where there's so much room in her driveway to park her car. Like, I literally think she's losing it. So just now, I went to go park in the spot where the van was. And by the way, it was towed like months ago. So I'm making my video, and again, I feel a presence on my left side. So I look over, and it's her. And I open the door, and I was just like, hi, it's Megan. She's like, Megan, I don't care. She's like, I don't want you parked in front of here. I'm sitting in my house, and you're ruining my peace. You're ruining my peace by being parked here. So I'd rather you just move your car and like go down there. And let me tell you, the real me, oh, me and Karen would have gotten into it. We would have gotten into it, and believe me, how hard it was to restrain my ass from popping off on her. But I'm a healed version of myself. And also, I saw that Netflix documentary about that Karen and her pew pew. Like, I don't play. People these days are fucking crazy, and it's not worth it to get into a fight with her, especially now that I have kids. Like, I used to get into fights with people about this. Like, I would stand up for myself and be like, bitch, this is a street. You don't own the street. You can't tell me where the fuck to park. But I decided to just go ahead and leave Karen alone because, yeah, I don't need any bad blood with the neighbors. It's not worth it, especially based off that Netflix documentary. I'm good.
Story time about how I found out my neighbor was a peeping Tom and creeping on me for over a year. So let me start this off, give you guys the scenery of the apartment. I moved into a beautiful little cutesy studio apartment in Mar Vista. If you live in LA, you know Mar Vista is like a little outskirt city close to Venice Beach. So that's where a lot of the Venetians who don't want to pay crazy rent move to. I found this super cute apartment, got it myself, moved in, okay? Now, let me start this. let me just set up the scenery. My front door, my neighbor's front door, okay? We literally share a hallway. My first red flag with this neighbor, on the first day I moved in, I was talking to my mama, and I guess like my front door was cracked. And I said to her, I was like, oh dang, ma, I gotta go get some water because I don't have no water. And so that was that. Why, when I opened my front door, was there a big old gallon of water and red Solo cups sitting next to my front door? We should have took this as a red flag, but we didn't. And as we're like seeing the water, I see my neighbor's front door closing. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, I yelled it out. Obviously, like, I'm not a dick. And I was moving into a brand new apartment. My energy was high. I didn't think anything of it. And he goes, like, he, like, stuck his hand out the door or something. I didn't actually see his face. Now, over time, I'm chilling. I'm not paying attention because I'm in my new apartment. But also, let me tell you guys, I was a live streamer, like, a daily live streamer at this point. I was doing regular streaming and also spicy streaming, okay? Now, in my studio apartment, I had this big window that would look out into the courtyard. And this big window, obviously I wanted that light, but I wasn't gonna just have my blinds open with nothing over it. So I bought a privacy film to go over it, and I made sure you couldn't see in or really see out, okay? So sometimes I would live stream in this little nook that I created because I liked to meditate in it. I love the sun on my face. I charged my crystals. I did my little witchy shit all in this corner, okay? Mind you, there's a privacy film. So I would live stream, and then like as I'm live streaming, I kept seeing him like coming in and out of his apartment, and he would like pace in front of this window whenever I would sit there and live stream. I shit you not. And I was like, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Like, go in the house. But also, mind you, he was like a chain smoker. So I didn't really pay too much into it. I was like, oh, maybe he's smoking. But a lot of times he wasn't smoking. And it got to a point where like even my viewers would see like a shadow go over my face. They'd be like, what is that? I'd be like, oh, it's just my creepy neighbor walking back and forth. And they'd be like, girly pop, what? Like, it became a thing where I would be like, oh, gift me every time the creepy neighbor walks by. Like, that's how weird it was. So one day, I come out my apartment, and I realized this motherfucker put his plants underneath my window. And I was like, what is he doing? Like, what is he on? Like, no. I call my mom, I'm like, Ma, why does fool got his plants next to my window? She's like, if you don't move that shit, like, my mama don't play. I moved the plants, okay? Boom. Now, at this time, I also had a very, like, consistent routine, which I probably shouldn't have, but whatever. I would bike to work sometimes up until my mom gifted me a car. So, obviously, I stopped biking. So, one day, I'm coming out of my apartment, and all of a sudden, I hear someone call my name. I was like, who the fuck is calling my name? I don't even know none of my neighbors. What do you mean? And it's his creepy ass. Like, this is the first time I ever laid eyes on him. He's so creepy looking. Like, I might even insert the picture at the end of this incident of what happened, just so y'all can see how creepy he is. Turn around, it's this fool. Why did he ask me, can I buy your bike? My bike? What do you want with my bike? You guys, my bike was a bright turquoise beach cruiser with pink lights and a big basket with flowers on it. What does your grown ass want with my girly ass bike? Like, what? Obviously, I told him no. And what about my day? Now, if you know anything about beach city apartments, a lot of these apartments don't have air conditioning just because they don't really get that hot. And they expect you guys to just leave your windows open so you can get the nice natural breeze. Now, in my bathroom had like a foggy window. And obviously, in your bathroom, you don't want mold to grow. So I would leave the window open. I had 2 windows facing the street. Mind you, both of these windows were completely covered. Like, they were covered by thick hedges and olive trees. Like, there's no way anybody could be looking in them or even, like, hiding in them, okay? So the bathroom window, I would leave it cracked open just so I could have, like, air circulation, and it was completely covered. Didn't think anything of it. Until I started having nightmares about my bathroom. Like, literally, I would wake up in the middle of the night staring at my bathroom thinking somebody was gonna come in through it. Like, I cannot. So creepy neighbor is just creepy neighbor. I would always hear him coming in and out of the apartment. Literally his front door is right there, but I would also hear him going in and out of the front gate. The front gate was right adjacent to my apartment, so I would literally hear that bitch slam anytime someone would come out of it. But mind you, all my neighbors worked, so if I was at home, this nigga was at home because he didn't work. So let me get y'all the crazy last bit of the story. One day, I'm on my gym girl shit. I was working out like every single day. Sometimes I would go either early in the morning or I would go super late at night, just because I hated packed, crowded gyms. So one day, I get ready to go to the gym. It's maybe like 11 o'clock, and I leave all my lights on. All my windows were closed, but I was on the phone. So I go in my car. My car, mind you, is on that same, like I can see my car from one of my windows in my apartment. I'm in my car. Something told me to leave all my lights on. I'm in my car windows are completely tinted, so you can't see if I'm in it or not unless the car is on. I'm in my car finishing up a phone call, and the person I was on the phone with knew about the creepy neighbor, funny enough. And I was like, oh, here comes the creepy neighbor, because I see his ass coming out the front gate, right? And he's doing his creepy stuff, like he's pacing, like he's just pacing for some reason. So the next thing he does, this motherfucker walks around to the side of my window, and then he goes into the fucking bushes. And I'm watching this, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, what are you doing? He goes into the first set of bushes that cover my bathroom window, and he's looking down to see if the window was open. Obviously it wasn't, because I wasn't at home, but I was like, what the fuck? He still didn't come out. This motherfucker then proceeds to go into the next window that's inside my like studio area, and he just is like in there. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, why are you in my bushes? Why are you in my bruh? I was so in shock that I couldn't even like film this. I should have, but I was too in shock. And I was like, am I losing my fucking mind, or is this nigga in my bushes? So he comes out finally, and he realizes my windows aren't open, and he goes back into the fucking front gate. And I'm on the phone, I'm like, this nigga was just in my windows. I was so creeped out at this point, but I should have called the police, and I didn't, because I wanted to make sure like I wasn't going crazy. So the next day, after I get home from work, I call my mom. I'm like, Ma, I need you to watch my window on FaceTime while I pretend to act normal in this apartment, and tell me if this nigga comes in my window. So I set up my phone on FaceTime. My mama is down because she want to see what the fuck gonna happen. I'm just pretending to be normal, and I left my bathroom window cracked. Bruh, my mom was absolutely mortified. She would literally, I had my AirPod in, she'd be like, oh my God, Nigel, he's in the bushes, he's in the window, he's in the bushes, he's in the window, oh my God, Nigel, he's looking in the window. Like, she was freaking the fuck out. Now, mind you, I'm trying to pretend to be normal, and I'm freaking out too. My mom pulls up, and he like skateboarded out the fucking bushes. So obviously, me and my mom are freaked out. I didn't really want to be there alone. She stayed with me over an hour to see if he would come back, so we can make sure he was there when we called the police. This nigga never came back. So I ended up even having my little at the time come stay with me that night, just to make sure nothing happened. That night, I blew up my apartment management's phone, emails, screaming at them that one, they needed to cut down the fucking bushes that were in front of my windows, because my neighbor across the hall has been hiding in them, and two, warning them that obviously there's a peeping Tom in the building. I hate the way that my apartment management handled this, because one, I feel like they weren't taking me seriously until I started getting out of character, and then two, I'm pretty sure that they warned my neighbor that I was going to get law enforcement involved. So that morning, I go to work, come home, my mom's waiting on me to come home so we can call the police and she'll be there. We called the police, 2 melanated officers showed up, and they were about to arrest him. So they go door knocking. This boy's family members open the door and they go, oh, he's not here. Bitch, what? That nigga's always there. It's not like he works. What do you mean? And I'm so grateful these officers at the time were taking me seriously, because they were really about to just lock his ass up. They could tell that I was clearly shaken up. I was clearly bothered by the situation. And they even looked at like the bushes area. Y'all, remember how I told y'all he was a chain smoker? Tell me why in the dirt, in the bushes, there was cigarettes, cigarette packs, lighters, trash. Like, this nigga was camped out in my windows. Mind you, I moved in 2022. This situation I didn't find out until about this situation I didn't find out about until maybe towards the end of 2023. So fuck. Seeing that this nigga literally left like all his stuff in my bushes from the times he was down there creeping was so invasive and mortifying, because I'm like, what has he seen? What has he heard? What has he like been doing? God fucking knows. And even worse, the officer shines a flashlight on the screen of my bathroom window. Bitch, why was there dry white stuff on my screen? Dry white stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like so grossed out. Officers come back to me. They're saying he's not here. We're gonna file a police report anyway, and just call us when you see him again. It was a Friday. I was like, I'm not staying here. You got me fucked up. So that weekend, I stayed at my mom's house. Monday, I had to go back to my apartment to get some clothes for work that day. And I'm praying like I don't bump into him, I don't see him. I go in my apartment, get dressed, get ready, and as I'm getting ready to walk out the front door, I hear his front door open and close. I was like, oh my fucking God, if this is him, I'm gonna freak out. I peek out my window that looks into the courtyard, and shit you not, I see him just standing there. I'm like, bruh. I immediately called 911 and my mom let the police know that I have a police report filed on this guy, and they told me to call back immediately when I see him again. I'm on the phone with my mom in the bathtub waiting for the police, because I didn't want him to hear me. I didn't want to let him to even see me. I didn't want him to know I was there, because I wanted his ass to get arrested. Took 2 hours for the police to show up. When they finally show up, my mom, she had been parked outside the whole time waiting for the police to get there and making sure that the creepy neighbor hadn't left. Police get there, it's an Asian guy and a Caucasian guy.
All weekend. And she came this morning to change clothes and get ready for work, and of course he's here, yeah. But they claimed he wasn't here Friday. I don't know what his real name is. He's lying. He keeps lying about his name. So the police said his name was Jesus Flores. He told us his name was Tito. He told management his name was Freddie. So I don't know if it's Freddie, Tito, or Jesus.
Interactions, or never spoke to him, never.
I don't interact with him because he's always just been odd, and he would just be weird doing shit by my windows. I just already thought it was weird, but the fact that
This window right here.
this window, that window, and every single window.
Okay, where does this window lead to?
That's my apartment.
That's her apartment.
The living room, or?
Yeah, the living area. In the back is the bathroom.
Okay.
Where he was going behind the bushes.
My mom, it gets to them first. She's like, he's in there. I know he's in there. Police told us to call y'all immediately when we see him again, and that he would be arrested. These niggas wasn't taking us serious from the jump, and that pissed me off. They go knock on the door. His family answers again, talking about he's not there. My mom went the fuck off. She's like, he's there. He hasn't left. Tell them to bring his ass out right now. And so eventually he comes out. His pants were undone. His hair is wet, like he just got out of the shower or something. But he was there. So police are questioning him, asking him like, hey man, what's going on? Da-da-da-da. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? Why are y'all questioning him? I just showed you the police report. Lock his ass up. They're questioning him. And then one of the other officers comes to question me, asking me like all these questions, like interrogating me as if I'm the one who did something wrong. I'm like, if you don't get out my face and go get this creepy ass nigga ASAP. So I'm getting pissed off at this point. And then eventually they put him in cuffs. Mind you, while he's still in the cuffs, he's like, I haven't done anything. I didn't do anything. I was never by her window. Da-da-da-da-da. Mind you, I showed these officers all the stuff by my window, showed him the cigarettes that are above his front door that he chain smokes. So the officers put him in cuffs, still talking to him for maybe like 10 minutes. And I'm just waiting to see like what they're gonna do. Then all of a sudden, I hear the cuffs come off, and this fucker starts skateboarding around our courtyard. And then so one of the sergeants comes and he goes, well, we can't really arrest him because it's a misdemeanor and all this other stuff and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, bruh, no. Because this is not what the officers yesterday, this is not the type of time they were on. Even the officers from Friday, not yesterday, their sergeant came too. So they were serious Friday. Monday, they played in my face. And to see this nigga skateboarding around, acting like nothing's gonna happen, like hee hee ha ha, I'm good, I was livid. No, you think I'm gonna just let you get away with that easily? Fuck no. So I showed my ass. I caused the biggest scene in the neighborhood, yelled to the top of my lungs his full name, made sure everybody came out on the street to hear what I was saying, said this motherfucker's a peeping Tom, you're a creep, da-da-da-da-da, like I was livid. And even worse, my apartment management kept blowing up my phone, and I got mad at them because I'm like, y'all niggas told him. Y'all must have told him that I was going to get law enforcement involved Friday so that he wouldn't be home, allegedly. Now on Monday, it's all shits and giggles and nobody's taking anything serious. They cut the bushes down, but they had still not taken it serious. They weren't going to kick them out or anything. They didn't do anything. So I was like, y'all got to move me out today. Get me another apartment and get me out of this bitch today. I'm not staying here. I just paid rent on top of that. Get me out of here and give me another apartment. Within 2 hours, I moved and packed up my apartment to a whole different neighborhood. And it really broke my heart because I didn't even want the new apartment I had moved into. Not only was it much smaller, nothing about it had the energy that I was emitting in this other place. Like, I was so heartbroken because I loved my apartment so much, and the fact that I had to give it up because of this fucktard was really just infuriating. This whole situation was so upsetting. Detectives and police never got back to me about the police report I filed about taking action against him, and to this day he's probably still skateboarding around. But I had to get that off my chest. Wanted to share that story, and I have to say this just made me way more aware of my surroundings and my routine. Just because someone's your neighbor doesn't mean they're your friend. They could literally be the worst, creepiest person on the planet, and you don't know. So to my girlies who live alone, stay aware of your surroundings and always keep something on you to defend yourself.
Not correct. I did not do that. I promise you. What happened is
You're fucking lying. You're lying.
Okay, talk about my crazy neighbor with me while I make my kid lunch. So it started when we moved in. Her front door is right behind my bedroom window. And so every night once we moved in, she was just screaming all the time. Yelling at her kid, yelling at her husband, whoever, just screaming. And it would carry into the morning too. So like 6:30, 7 a.m. when she's leaving the house for work, she's screaming out the door. Like it even got to a point where, wow, why can't I? She's waking up my kid in the morning and I'm still sleeping. She's waking him up. She's keeping me awake at night. She's keeping him awake at night. Finally one night I'm reading a book to my toddler and she's screaming again, of course. And so I scream out my window and I'm like, shut up. I really didn't think she would hear me, to be honest. I was still laying in his bed when I screamed it. And then, of course, she responds with, I don't know if I can say it on TikTok, but she basically responded with F you, B word. I get up and open my blinds and I'm screaming at her and I'm like, no, like I'm trying to put my kid to sleep and you keep him awake. And then as soon as I start screaming, I hear my man screaming from the other bedroom. So he's in the window, I'm in the window, we're in 2 different rooms and we're both screaming at this fucking chick. Oh. She just kind of like stares at us, and then whatever guy she was with, I don't know if it's her dad or husband, he's like, all right, let's go inside, let's go inside. And so they both go inside. Cut to a couple weeks later, she's screaming until 1 o'clock in the morning again. And so I'm being annoying. I bang on my door because she's out there, like out front of the house screaming. So I like just bang on the wall. And so they both kind of look over and like just stare at my window for a second and then continue screaming. It gets to the point where I'm like, what is going on? Like, what, are you guys okay? So I look out my window, literally just move the blinds over a little bit, and she starts screaming FUB to me, cursing out of her mind, like screaming at me, coming at me like crazy. It's like, what if my kid was just looking out his window? Like, it's dark outside, dark inside. How do you know who's looking out the window and you're just cursing at whoever's trying to look outside? She's literally insane. Like, there's been cops at her front door twice. Her kid has ran out of the house screaming, like 5-year-old kid. And the thing she's yelling is in, like, it's not just like she's loud, like she is a loud person, but she's screaming horrible, like she's saying like screw you to her kid. I heard her saying like, oh, I don't want you anymore. Do you want the city people to come take you away again? Like, oh my God, like things you should not be saying to a kid. So what does my crazy ass do? Call up my mom. Tell my mom about the situation. Give my mom her address. My mom gives me her name. So now I've got a name for the neighbor. Am I crazy? Yes, absolutely. But that's besides the point. So of course I look up her name on social media. I found her Instagram. I found her TikTok. Her TikTok just told me all I needed to know. Moral of the story, she's insane. But so I found singing videos, okay? She's on her TikTok singing, making covers to songs. So my plan is next time she's screaming and freaking out and getting angry, I'm just gonna open my window and I'm gonna play her songs and she can listen to herself singing from my room. Yep, that's my plan. So I don't know, let me know what you would do.
Always asking me about bad roommates, the stuff that goes down when you have bad roommates. So let me give you a story time on my bad neighbor. And neighbor, if you see this, hi. So basically, I moved into my new apartment with my friend. So we share an apartment together. And of course, because they're apartments, we're gonna share a wall with our neighbors. When I first moved in, it was a little bit weird because at one point I heard somebody screaming through the wall. And I was like, okay, a little weird, but it's the beginning of the lease term, so I'm not really paying no mind to it. I should have paid more attention because that was only the beginning. This person literally had no sense of hearing. They would be blasting music to the point where you would touch your hand on the wall and it would literally vibrate because of how loud their music was. Mind you, this is not my roommate. This is next door to me. There was one point it was so bad that literally my dresser that was next to that wall would start vibrating. Do you know how loud your music has to be to the point where I can hear it from my side of the room? Absolutely insane. And mind you, this would happen at the most random times. Sometimes it would be 2 a.m. Other times it would be 6 p.m. Other times it would be 8 p.m. Other times it would be 5 a.m. in the morning. And like I said, I'm not always in the house, but when I'm in my house, I'm usually doing something of importance, whether it's studying, trying to create content, or going to sleep at a reasonable time. And he just did not care. We wouldn't respond to our text messages. We would have to bang on the wall, to which he would bang back instead of lowering it down. It was just absolutely insane. Even his roommate left that apartment. That's how bad it was. And he always played this victim role and always thought that I was the one that was really out against him. But this came from multiple different people. And mind you, me and my roommate tried everything so it wouldn't get to the point where it got to. We even had a sit down with the leasing office so they could try to explain to him that his music was absurdly loud and that he needs to stop. And guess what? He never stopped. Then one special night at 1 a.m., I'm trying to go to bed so I can wake up for work in the morning. He decides to start playing loud music again on Thursday at 1 a.m. So the first thing I do is bang on the wall because again, I just want the music lowered, nothing else. To which he then bangs on the wall back. And then he says, I have some friends over. We can have a grand old time since you're so lonely. Oh, okay. And mind you, none of my friends are in Greensboro at this time. There's nobody honestly that I can really call. So I call security just to tell him to lower the music. Security goes over there. He starts tweaking out on them, saying, F security, get the F off my property, calling them all types of names, going ballistic. So what does security do? Security calls the police on him. Mind y'all, he swears up and down that I called the police. and I could put it on everything I love, I never called the police. The police is too much. I'm not gonna call them. That's stupid. Over some noise, that's stupid. But anyways, the police were called. He gets in trouble for it, has to leave the apartment complex. So, I sent a thoughtful message and thank you for being such an amazing neighbor and hearing his wonderful music all year long. And that I would be moving from that apartment because I cannot do that no more. Of course, to protect my safety. Because I don't know who that man is and what he can do. To which he sends me a big message. And if I was to show these messages here on TikTok, they would probably ban me. Just know it was absolutely insane. And no man, because yes, my neighbor was a man, should ever say what he said to me as a man. But, and he's very upset. Even just yesterday, he was adding me on his story. For what reason? I don't know. I wish him the best. But he wanted me to tell y'all this story because he said if I told my friends, it would be embarrassing. So I'm going to tell the story and make money off of it. Hope you guys enjoyed this story time. And always remember, advocate for yourself if things are not going your way. Because nobody deserves to be treated like that. Nobody. But y'all stay safe. And I'll catch y'all in the next video. Bye.
If you're a new homeowner, FYI, our neighbors thought it was okay that they're playing with their dogs in our backyard. So let me preface this by saying that we have no fence between our neighbor and us. And we are not the people that it's like, oh yeah, you're 1 foot in our property. Oh, storms. No, it's not even like that. Our backyard is not like a normal square shape, okay? But it doesn't matter because that's how we don't have any neighbors. That's just the forest. And going that way, that's the forest. The only neighbor we have is this way, okay? So if I were to show you the square, this is our neighbor, this is us, okay? And this is the property line, okay? Let's assume that. Just to preface, they do not have much of a backyard because they chose to have a pool and then put a bunch of bushes around the pool. So they do not have a backyard. They have like a little sliver of a backyard. That's it. So shortly after we moved in, we installed cameras on our deck, on our backyard, garage, front of the house, everything, right? But it's only on like our land area, you know what I mean? It's not breaking anybody's privacy. So I want to keep in mind, like, this is how we caught the person because we would have never have noticed because I'll explain in a little bit. So this is the border. This is the other side, the forest area. This lady is full on. One day I'm at work and we get like a notification. I'm like, what is this? Like an animal? We're like, oh, squirrel or something. I'm like, oh, it's a dog. But we didn't think much of it. We're like, oh, maybe the dog just accidentally walked into our yard. So I come back home and I'm like, oh yeah, I saw my husband. Like, oh yeah, there was a dog in our backyard. And I was showing the video. Then I saw something interesting. There's somebody in our backyard. And I'm like, wait, what? And it's not like, remember the border. Okay, it's not like here. She's full on over here. And like throwing stuff like treats or whatever with the dog, like, and playing with the dog. And I'm like, are they out of their mind? I'm like, maybe, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. There was 2 things I told my husband. One, maybe they asked the previous people that lived here, like, oh, is it okay if we play with our dogs? Okay, 1. 2, the other option was they knew no one was living in there currently because the house was empty for like a good period of time before we moved in. So then maybe they thought, oh, I can use this for my dog, okay? Those are our 2 options here. Now, what the best portion is, though, is that we moved in, okay, fine. We noticed it the first time. Then the second time we noticed it. Then the third time. And you know what's really, really interesting? Every single time we're not home, they choose to put the dog outside. But anytime we make our presence known that we're at home, it's like, oh, they don't bring their dog outside. And I was like, what the? So the next question you may have is, oh, did they try introducing themselves? Did they even ask? No, they didn't even knock on our damn door to ask, okay? They have not talked to us at all. And I have to explain in part 2 because this is too long. Hello. There's a lot of people. I'm just used to like 200 people watching my videos, okay? Y'all with these comments, oh my gosh. And in terms of for the pool, just to know, the pool's in their yard, and in our state, we do require some kind of boundary. I'm not sure the specifics, but I'm pretty sure that's why they have those bushes there, and it creates privacy, whatever. I guess I don't deserve that privacy. If you remember from part 1, they were always in our backyard when we weren't home. And at first we thought, oh, maybe it's a coincidence. Like, maybe they work from home on the days that we work in the office. We genuinely thought that. Then I told my husband, let me test this theory out. So one day when I was working from home, I told my husband, just take the car to work and, you know, so that our garage and everything is empty and it looks like someone left, I'm going to close all the blinds, no, not movement, no lights, no nothing, right, during the daytime. I'm upstairs in a meeting, and lo and behold, I get the notification, and I can see on my phone, this lady is full in my backyard. Unfortunately for myself, I could not just leave that work meeting and be like, get off my backyard. So I was just like, I told my husband, I was like, see, I knew it. She's watching us or somehow paying attention when we're home and when we're not home, and then going into the backyard. That's when I know she's playing them games and being shady. And at this point, there was only two options: either confront them or call the police. And in confronting them, I told my husband, I'm only going to confront them when it's on record. So if it's on the Nest camera and talking to them or sending them a letter, something that's on record that, hey, this happened. Because if they're already being shady, they'd best believe they're going to be shady later on if I call the police. Remember I told you there's certain days that I work from home, or sometimes I don't. One Monday, it was a holiday. And all of a sudden, I go to the store. And best believe, look at that, the lady's in our backyard again. And she's never come on a Monday. Conveniently, this Monday, she decided to come. I get on that Nest camera, and at first I'm like, hello, who are you? And, you know, I'm just trying to act innocent, because I'm just like, I know it's my neighbor, but they have not made their presence known. They have not introduced themselves, so God knows who they are. And, you know, they're not responding. They're just throwing their treat. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe they can't hear me. Like, maybe the Nest camera's not loud. So I go to the deck camera. Still nothing. And then I'm like, finally, like, you know what? I feel like she can hear me. Maybe she's ignoring me. So I'm like, hello, who are you? Hello, who are you? Hello, I can see you in my backyard. And then finally, once again, while I'm saying all this, girl's like, throwing the treats. Like, as if she can't hear shit. Okay? And then finally I'm like, hello, you are trespassing. Hello, I will be calling the police shortly. Truly, I told my husband, I'm like, I don't think the microphone's loud enough. And then I literally exited out of the app and texted him that. I get back onto the app to see where she is. Oh, look at that, the lady magically going on the border of her side. How's that possible? That means you heard, but you were choosing not to. So you may be thinking, oh, this story's done. No. This is called Shady Neighbors. So obviously the shadiness and the cunningness of these people are crazy. So immediately after I tell her, like, hey, you're trespassing, I'm gonna call the police, she makes it nicely over here to the border, okay? Now keep in mind, what did I say? I said, she's trespassing and she has, like, you know, I'm gonna call the police. So she makes it nicely over here. And then what she does is she starts throwing her dog's treats onto our land. So what is she doing? Oh, I'm technically not on your land. I'm just throwing stuff. And oh, look, my dog is just conveniently getting onto your land. And then there was yesterday. The reason why I made this story time in the beginning was, remember this border? The imaginary border, okay? And from the first video, forest. We don't own that forest, okay? For the most part, I believe the previous owners cleared out the land and made it like tree free. So it's like a yard, right, for us, a yard. And so then right here, the tippy point. So technically based off like the borders, they don't really have a standing spot here because of their bush. But what this lady does is she stands like close to her bush. And then what she does is she takes her like treat and then she throws it here, like on the side of her border, which is fine. That's her side. But then, of course, her dog can't keep running back and forth. So what she does is she throws it here and then throws it here on this end. So technically she thinks she's throwing it in the forest, but she's not. She's still throwing it in the backyard. And what she's trying to do is she's trying to find the loophole. Do you know what the loophole is? Well, technically I'm not throwing it in your yard. And oh, my dog just has to like run across. I had to turn my computer, but we're gonna finish off the story no matter what. I see her on the Nest camera and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go to the window because I'm not gonna talk to these people at this point. If you're thinking that much into like just throwing your dog's treats, I couldn't even imagine talking to you. That means you're gonna twist and turn and she may even end up calling the police on me for doing nothing. So I do a fun little creepiness of opening up my shades and just staring at her and recording her. She notices obviously I'm there and then she starts waving at me and then I'm like, and then I just continue to record her like this. And then I step away because I was about to laugh, honestly. I was just like, this is too funny. And then I sent it to my husband. Conveniently, that happened within like a minute, okay? Me stepping away and coming back to the window. All of a sudden, when I stepped away, she's gone. She's gone. She went into the corner over here where she thought I couldn't see her. I could. And then she goes back into her house, gets more treats, and then throws it into my yard. We're building a fence, y'all. That's the end of the story. We're getting a surveyor and we're building a fence only on her side. Nowhere else. Just on her side. Just to be like, no, motherfucker, no. So a lot of you wanted to see the backyard. Fair enough. I was using imaginary hand shapes to tell you what my backyard looks like. This is my backyard. And if you look over there, you can see the hedges. Let me tell you how the border works. You probably can't see me right now, but I'm behind that like prickly bush. And I don't know if you can see me waving, but pretty much from my foot to that bush is their land. And if you go without showing their house, you can see that from that trampoline, that's the thickness correction slightly right of the trampoline. And turns out where I'm standing is actually wrong. So I've been going off of the mow lines from when we purchased the home back in fall. But really, the property line, after looking at the papers and online, where that gap is between my feet and their hedges doesn't exist. So the corner is actually touching their hedge and it goes diagonal. And I'll show you a line right now of their land. All this is ours. Now, do you want to know where that lady was standing? Here. This is where I saw her. Y'all are hilarious, by the way. The sprinklers going into their pool, all that stuff. Right now, we're looking for a surveyor because before building anything, we just want to make sure everything is proper. I'll update you guys if you guys want to see the fence. Hopefully, there's no trouble going on. I'll update you guys on how that goes.
This morning, I wake up to a voicemail threat from my alcoholic neighbor. The story time I've been waiting to tell. This is about my 65-year-old alcoholic neighbor. So I moved into an apartment complex where each apartment has its own door, like into each unit. So my door is like catty corner with this 65-year-old woman's door. And the first day I meet her, she's a lot of energy, very big personality, but I was only moving in that day and my mom was helping me move in and she actually had to come outside and be like, hey, Victoria, your dad's on the phone. He wasn't, but she knew I would want pulled out of the conversation with this lady. And I did. That was my first interaction. My very next interaction is the night that I officially move in and actually sleep in my apartment. The following day when I wake up, I am working from home in my apartment for the first time and I get 3 knocks on my door separately. 1 knock at like 6 in the morning, 1 at 7, and then like 1 at 9. I don't answer them. I'm thinking that it must be like my landlord or something, like needed something, checking how the move-in went, whatever. So I text my landlord and I'm like, hey, sorry I missed you earlier. Like, sorry I didn't get to the door in time. What's up? Like, everything okay? No response. So I figure whatever, all good. Until 11 p.m. that same night, I'm in bed and I get another knock on my door. And it all starts clicking when I look outside my little peephole of my door and realize that it's my neighbor. And I start to realize she was the one knocking on my door earlier that morning. It was not my landlord. So she pulls me outside. It's 11 at night, it's dark. She starts going off on this story. I close the door behind me. I'm standing outside of my apartment right in front of my door, and she's telling me this story about this lady who she met living in our complex who is crazy and has cameras for eyes. This is my first official conversation with this woman. And I'm standing outside my apartment trying to assess if she's crazy or if the lady she met is real and crazy. So I'm looking around the corner. I'm like, what are you talking about? So she's telling me this crazy story. I eventually go inside and I'm still not sure about this woman. I'm like, is she crazy? She was very clearly drunk. But at this point, I don't know if she's an alcoholic, okay? So I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what to think. Some time goes on and the knocking on my door does not stop, and I work from home. So I'll be in meetings on video calls and she's knocking at my door and my dog is going crazy. Even sometimes people at work are like, oh, what's all the noise? And I'm like, I just try to play it off. I can't get up and go get the door and be like, oh, it's my crazy neighbor. So I start to Google her name. 3 police reports come up. One of which, it was 3 a.m. in a neighborhood next to the one we're currently living in. She was drunk and disorderly and stole 7 donuts. I'm like, okay. So this is who I'm dealing with. A certified annoyance. Got it. Okay. I'm super nice to this lady, mind you. So kind. I will stand outside and talk to her for like 20 minutes. Clearly she's bored. I start to see that the drinking is like quite a bit of an issue. And she wakes up at like 6 a.m. She's drinking by 10. I start my workday at 9. So by the time I'm starting my workday, she's ready to get her party started. I'm just getting adapted to this new apartment. I have a dog. He is getting adapted to living in a new apartment. All the noises are new. The environment's new. The people outside that he's seeing walk by our glass, we have a glass patio door, are all new people, all new noises, cars coming in and out of the lot. It's a lot for him. And on top of it, I have this woman knocking on my door 6 different times a day. Not me getting scared right now because I was talking loud and I'm like, can she hear me? This is the state of which I'm like living right now. I'm gonna lower my voice. So, because like I said, my front door is right there. Her door is catty cornered. She should be in bed by now. It is 10:45 at night. Eventually she knocks so much that I have to put in a complaint about her to management, and I just kind of work with them. I'm super nice. I'm like, hey, like, I know like we're from different times where maybe she would have like knocked on people's doors, but like, you know, people work from home now. Maybe that's something she doesn't consider. And the apartment complex has a conversation with her. They're like, yes, we're very familiar with her. We already knew what you were calling about whenever we saw what unit you were in. I'm like, why'd you let me move into it? Things slow down for a while. I run into her. She was like upset. She sent me a text that was kind of like, hey, sorry to be a bother, kind of passive aggressive. So I was afraid to see her again after, you know, complaining. So the next time I see her, we kind of smooth things out. I'm like, hey, wasn't a complaint. You know, they just asked me like how move-in was going, and I said that I was really struggling. A lot of big differences, a lot of changes. It's a lot for me. It's a lot for my dog. She backed off a little bit, which was nice. I got a little bit of like time to adapt into living in a new home. She at one point got my number. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. I'm sure she asked me outside and it just put me on the spot and I didn't know what to say. And honestly, I probably thought like, well, if she has my number, maybe she could just text or call instead of like knocking, if that solves the problem. I already had this woman blocked once. Unblocked her because I felt bad because I'm trying to be a nice person. She calls me 500 times a week. The amount of voicemails that I get from her in a week is astronomical. I don't talk to my friends or my family as much as she wants to talk to me. Sometimes I'll pick up the phone because I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to give a little, but kind of set some boundaries. One time I was setting up my patio furniture and she was talking to me outside. This is like probably noon. It was summertime and I'm setting up my patio furniture and she has to come onto my patio, looking at my patio furniture while I'm just trying to build it. Like I'm trying to set it up. I'm trying to set up my patio. Just moved in probably a couple weeks before this. And she falls in my patio area because she just can't keep her footing. She's now laying in the rocks of my patio. And I'm wondering, what are the other neighbors thinking? Because I'm sure they're familiar with her. Also, can I just do something in peace? Like, can I just do something in peace? Like, I move into this apartment to live alone, and now this. There's gonna have to be a part 2 of this story time because I honestly got tired of filming it and there's so many things I could go more into detail on. We didn't even get to the threatening voicemail yet. So come back for part 2 tomorrow. All right, we're back with part 2 of my crazy alcoholic neighbor who left me a threatening voicemail. I am reading the voicemail in this video, so stay tuned. I have her voicemail transcribed because it's almost so hard to understand and I don't wanna play it, I don't think, because I don't want to put her voice out there. It's sad that like even through all this, I still want to protect her in a way, even though I know I absolutely should not feel that way. I have to set the tone to the voicemail with another scenario that happened prior. So there was this time where she had fallen or something and she was in the hospital. and I get a voicemail from her saying that she's asking the hospital if she can be released to me. So basically the hospital is saying that they want to hold her, but she wants to leave, but they don't want her to leave because she's not ready, like she needs more care or whatever. So I get this voicemail. I try to call her back. I wanted to hear, what happened, if she's okay. I still care at this point if she's okay. Like I said, trying to set some boundaries, but I care about her well-being. And I feel bad a little bit, I do feel bad. I think it's a sad scenario, despite how much it's affected me. It is sad. She calls me saying that she wants the hospital to release her to me. I can't get a hold of her. I call her a few times. So I actually end up calling the hospital, and I, ask if she's there. And I talk to the nurse's station, and I'm like, hey, I got a message from her. She's saying that she's going to be released to me. I just want to be clear with you guys because I want you to do what's best for her. I am not in the position to take care of her in that way. I'm just her neighbor. I don't know what she's telling you guys, but I'm literally just her neighbor. If she has family or someone else, like anyone that can actually like stay and care for her. But if she's telling you that like I am that person, I just want to be clear that I'm not. And they were like, no, absolutely, we totally get it. And we're going to hold her. I was like, okay, great. That's probably best. Just want to set the tone that there are situations like that with her where she does want to put these things on me. I've never set the tone that like I am willing to take on that responsibility. I'm absolutely not willing to take on that responsibility. I moved into this apartment to have independence. I'm not trying to take on taking care of someone else. I need to take care of myself, honestly. This situation where she left me this voicemail is similar in a sense. The night prior to the voicemail, she had called me around 7. I was out with friends and their family. I was actually at Chuck E. Cheese, and it's loud. I can't answer. I'm busy. So the day went by. I went home and I went to bed. I took PTO the next day because it's a long weekend. It's a holiday weekend. I have off Monday, so I was like, I'll take Friday too. So I get a call around 9 in the morning. And I'm sleeping in. I sleep in. That's how I am. So it does kind of wake me up. I see that it's her. She calls me almost every day at 9 or before 9. And it wakes me up almost every morning because even though my phone's on silent, it still vibrates and wakes me up. So I see that she's calling, but I don't answer. I go back to sleep. When I finally wake up a little bit later, I see that she left me a voicemail, but I have a lot going on. I have maintenance heading over to my apartment soon. They're going to check out my furnace and do some things. So I'm kind of like tidying up, getting ready for maintenance to come. My furnace is in a closet and I have some things in there. I got to take it out and like make sure that they can get to what they need to get to. About a half hour before maintenance comes, I get another call. I miss it because I'm busy running around my apartment doing stuff. So I see that I got a second voicemail. I go back and I listen to her voicemail from the 9 a.m. call. And she is telling me that she had some kind of medical issue the night before. Paramedics were at her apartment. Something along those lines. But it is so hard to understand the voicemail. It's as if she's like talking into a blanket almost, like, and slurring, and you can barely understand it. But it was something along the lines of paramedics were at her apartment last night. Maybe that's why she called me around 7. I'm not sure. I still don't know. At this point, when I'm listening to both of these voicemails, I have no knowledge of anything that's going on. Nothing was happening when I got home the night before. Everything seemed normal. So I really thought nothing. The second voicemail I get is this. But just know it's very passive aggressive, but with notes of like, she wants me to still like feel bad for her. So she's telling me like details of her life. Okay. You know what? Like I said, I had a mini stroke, paramedics and police at my house last night. And I thought you were my friend. Could not have at least called me back. That's okay. Don't bother ever calling me back. I will see you when I see you. I had my first day back at work, which was awesome. And I'm not your responsibility, nor are you mine. I might be 62, but I act 26. And I just dumped all of my whole bunch of crap. It is what it is, Victoria, and you take care of yourself. God bless you, and that's it. So that's all I got. And if you want to put a complaint in for me, that'll be the worst thing you could ever do. That's not a threat. That's a promise. Just me being me. I appreciate you not giving a crap about me. Like I said, I thought you were my friend. I'll see you in passing, and that's it. Goodbye. You take good care of yourself. So basically, what I'm getting from, and I made a note because I can see what's happening here, but sometimes it's hard for me to put it into words. But basically what she's saying is, when you don't meet the expectations that I'm setting for you and giving me the attention to the level that I want you to, I'm going to be mean and rude. I'm going to give you a hard time about it. And if you complain about it, it's going to be a bigger mistake for you because I'm going to make your life miserable. Basically is what she's saying. So she's trying to hold this control over me while also still wanting sympathy, but attacking me at the same time. I'm like, well, attacking is crazy. She's not, well, she did threaten me that if I told on her, it's going to be the worst decision I ever could make. Is that how she said it? She said, that'll be the worst thing you could ever do. That's not a threat. That's a promise. And that's just her being her. The funny thing is, after I got the first voicemail where she was saying that like she was having some kind of medical issue the night before, I actually would have gone over and checked on her. I would have, done what I needed to do, done the maintenance stuff, and I would have stopped over and checked because I just want to make sure she's okay, to an extent. There are situations, I think, as being a neighborly person. My friend gave me an example. She was like, if she were in the hospital and she said, hey, I'm in the hospital, could you go over and let my dog out? That is so understandable, If she's saying, hey, I had an episode last night, would you mind coming and checking on me, just make sure I'm okay? I can do those things. But what I can't do is when I don't answer you in time or even have context or know what is going on, be nice to you when you're not even being nice to me. So now that I get the second voicemail, I'm absolutely not gonna play nice anymore. But I do have two options and I don't really know what to do because she's threatening me saying, you better not tell on me. I'm definitely gonna tell management, at least to keep it on record. But I'm gonna have to talk to them and be like, what do I do with this? I can either be nice just so she's nice back to make my life easier. That is an option. Someone said in the comments, they're like, don't be a doormat. That would be me being a doormat though, like 100%. Or I can set very harsh boundaries and be like, hey, you're not going to talk to me this way. You're not going to threaten me. And you better just stay away. So a few updates is I am going to send an email to management and send them the voicemail. This would already be the second time I've been in communication with them because if you remember from the first video, I had to tell them, hey, she keeps knocking on my door. Can we calm this down? So they're fully aware of her issues. There have been many times that the cops have been called for her, not by me, but by other people in the community. She has fought and argued with people in the parking lot. She makes comments to the neighbors and yells at their kids when they're playing too loud. They're kids. I loved the neighbors and their kids. They ended up moving out, probably partially because of the situation that she created with them. The dad had to yell at her and put her in her place and be like, you don't speak to my kids. So I have seen this play out so many times. There have been times where I was asleep and it's 7 a.m. and she bangs on my door over and over. And she doesn't just bang, she yells outside my door. Because one of the comments was I know that she's a drunk, but have you tried talking to her? Yes, I have had the conversation. Management has had the conversation. That time that she woke me up, to be asleep and have somebody bang on your door and wake you up with no context of who it is or what's going on is terrifying. My dog starts barking. He's going crazy. So after that time that she did that, I did tell her, you cannot do that. That's really scary. I don't expect anyone to be knocking on my door, let alone waking me up out of my sleep. And I have to work in a few hours. You're waking me up before my alarm's even going off. It's just way past the limit of what's acceptable. So I have had conversations with her. I have talked to management before. There have been so many scenarios. And I just want to say that there have been times she is so kind sometimes. She always makes food and she always wants to give me some. I try not to accept it. There have been times I've told her no and she pushes it on me anyway, and she'll continue to knock until she gives me whatever she has. I have also seen her be mean to people when they don't accept the things that she's trying to give them. The front desk lady of our apartment complex one time didn't stay around after work to take this food from her. And my neighbor got so mean about it, and she was going off like telling me she won't like take any of my food, she did that on purpose. Like, you can see it happening, and I see it happening to other people. So I was always cautious to kind of navigate that food situation with her, but I also see how there were times where I contributed to the problem. I'll get to that. I don't eat it. I just say thank you, and I say, oh yeah, it was great, thank you, because I'm too kind. I really genuinely am. I know that. There are other neighbors she does the same thing with, and they have set boundaries, and they have even told me, like, there's a older woman who lives in the front of the building, and I love her. She has told me before, she's like, Victoria, you have to be harsher. Like, you have to set these boundaries. And I'm like, I know. So there are ways that I try to, and there are sometimes it's very hard and I'm just too nice. One time it was Thanksgiving and I knew that she was home alone. So I brought her a plate of dinner from my family's Thanksgiving and took it over to her. So there's this weird pull between me feeling like empathetic and knowing that it's a sad situation, but also my boundaries completely being crossed even after I have set them so many times. And it seems like there's this environment she creates where if I don't treat her the way she expects me to treat her and like give her the attention and time that she wants, she's going to be mean. And all of my other neighbors have told me, you better watch out because it will turn on you. So I knew that that was probably coming, and obviously now we're at the point where it did happen. I don't know how to handle this, but my biggest concern, like if it were just me living in this apartment, I could deal with this. But what really bothers me is that it makes me worried for my dog. Like, I don't want to be in an environment where I feel uncomfortable leaving my dog home and like leaving the apartment. I don't know the worst she could do, but I don't know what she would do. Also, my patio, she walks past it and she'll sometimes like come up to the patio and say hi to my dog. He loves her, she loves him. She's given him treats before without me knowing. I've caught her doing it and told her to stop. She continues to do it and will sneak behind my back, and I've caught her again. So now I feel like I can't even like have my dog out on the patio and her even come by because I don't know what's gonna happen. So after this voicemail, my dog was out on the patio and the maintenance guy was here, and I kind of told him what was going on because I wanted someone to know. And my dog's out on the patio and I hear her come out of her apartment, and she walks over to my patio where my dog is and goes back into her apartment. And I'm like, what did you just do? Why did you do that? So now I'm all like weirded out about my dog even being out on the patio. And my apartment's small. Like, he can't be out on the patio without me basically seeing him from everywhere I am in the apartment. So I'm always watching him when he's out there. But I don't want to feel uncomfortable or like have to go pull him in every time she comes outside. But I now have to do that. I do feel I have to do that because I just can't trust her and I don't know what she would do. So that's basically the position I'm in right now. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's a holiday weekend. I'm not going to hear back from management until at least Tuesday. So I'm going to get that email together and send them the voicemail. But what would you do? What would you do? Play nice so that she's nice? But that's so taxing. Like, that's so much of my energy. And this situation that happened with this voicemail and like her threatening me, I can almost guarantee will happen again. Okay, let's talk about camera eyes because I brushed over that way too quick. The first night that I moved into my apartment, my neighbor knocked on my door at 11 p.m. and I came outside and she was telling me this story and she was like, I'm so shooken up. I'm so shaken up. I just met this woman over by the mailboxes and she was telling me some crazy stuff. And I'm like, oh, like what? What was she saying? And my neighbor's like, she was saying that she has cameras for eyes and that the FBI is after her. And I'm like, what? I'm like, where were you talking to her at? And she was like, by the mailbox. So I look around the corner of my building and I'm like, how do you know she didn't follow you home? And she's like, I don't know, but I don't trust her. She came in my apartment and I had to tell her to leave. I was like, what? I was like, don't bring her in your apartment if she says she has cameras for eyes. And at this point, I'm like wondering if this is even, any of this is true. I'm like, wait a minute. Was there actually a woman that was saying she has cameras for eyes? I don't know, but I'm also freaked out by the woman that might have cameras for eyes. Obviously, I know she doesn't, but if she thinks she does, why do you think you do? And why would you think the FBI's after you? Or if none of this is true, where did my neighbor come up with this story? So I actually end up finding out because I talked to a few other neighbors, and there actually is a woman living in my apartment complex that thinks that she has cameras for eyes. Mind you, this makes my apartment complex sound so crazy. I swear it's not. Like, there's a pool, there's like always people hanging out by the pool. Everyone seems very normal. There's like some college students because it's not far from the city. There's a girl, our dogs will play, and like I have a few other dog parents that like I'll meet outside, and everyone for the most part is very normal. I like everyone that I've met so far who lives here. I've even had to like talk to a few neighbors before about just like things happening in the complex, and everyone is so nice, like very kind. There's a Facebook group where people can chat about things. I've posted about stuff before, and everyone is super helpful, super nice. But apparently there is a woman who lives in my complex that thinks she has cameras for eyes, and she thinks that people are watching her and like tapping into her phones and like her computer and stuff. Imagine how like unsettling that was for me, my first night sleeping here, and that's what I'm hearing. Maybe we should do a wellness check on the entire community, actually, including me. Check my wellness. I'm scared.
Okay, story time. This one is about the time that me and my family went on our vacation to Wisconsin to the cabin we own in the woods. And there's a shared driveway between us and our neighbor, and it's like really long and bendy and whatever, blah, 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 it goes into the woods. Well, long story short, this neighbor that we've always got along with since literal like kids started like experiencing like some changes. Like he started going like, So there was a property line that was a flag that separated everything that was there for generations. They would just replace the flag. Well, Tim took the flag down and parked a camper there, and it was going over into our property. So my mom, dad, and grandma went up like the week before to like clean everything, and she just went over to Tim and was like, hey, I noticed you took the property line down and you put a camper up, like what's up? And he got super defensive and was like, you don't know shit about the property line, and I suggest you keep your mouth shut if you want to keep using my driveway, because that's my driveway, and if you don't keep your mouth shut, I'll make you guys dock in through a boat. And she was like, what has got into you? So she told my stepdad. He came and tried to talk to Tim. He was still argumentative, so he was like, let's just leave Tim alone. Like, let's just leave it. It's not a big deal. So a week goes by. We're all up there now. We have people from we have family from like all over the world that come here once a year. So everyone brings their dogs. So we're letting the dogs get all like acclimated, and my brother's dog is like barking at some of the other dogs. And Tim comes over says on his property, staying on his property, he says, if that dog keeps barking, I'm going to shoot it. And my brother said, what did you just say to me? And he said, you heard me. Don't act like you didn't hear me. If your dog steps foot on my property or starts barking in my direction, that's what it will be. If anyone's watching this that knows my brother personally, yeah, he don't. Ooh, that's just the wrong person to say stuff like that to. But my grandma was there. My grandma was like, don't. Please, Nick, just walk away, okay? It took every ounce of being like in self-control to have my brother walk away, but he did it. Well, now it's later in the day, and all of the kids are in the back on our property, like where we park our cars. On our property, we're all playing football together. We're having a good time, and Tim gets in his big, like, jacked up Jeep and drives onto our property and then does a bunch of burnouts where we're all playing catch. And we all have to move really quickly. So now we're all, like, yelling at him, like, what are you doing? And he just shoots down the driveway, like, super fast, kicking dust everywhere. And now we're really upset. Well, then the next day happens, and that's where stuff escalates horribly. All right, part 2 to the Nightmare from Hell. That's not right. Nightmare Neighbor from Hell. It is now the next day, and I have my 4-month-old baby with me. I have 3 kids, and my 4-month-old just would not sleep. I was up all night with him. So I put him in his stroller, and I was walking like the long driveway that was there to hopefully get him to go to sleep because I was going crazy, and my sister-in-law was with me. And we're just walking and talking, and we see that Tim has started his Jeep up. And so we get off the driveway, like we pick the stroller up, we walk a few feet to the side so he could drive up the driveway and we'll be out of his way. And instead of him passing us, he stops his car right in front of us. And he's looking at me and he says, "Those are Iowa plates." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "This ain't fucking Iowa." And I said, "Okay." And he's got a beer in his hand. He like crunches it up and he throws it on the floorboard and he pops open another one. And I'm like rolling my eyes. And I'm like, "Tim, you're drunk." And he was like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do? I can drink and drive if I want to. And I'm like, okay. And then he was like, "You guys need to go back to fucking Iowa. You guys come here. You think you can do whatever you want. You think you can take a walk on my property. This driveway is my property. You need to get the fuck off my property or else." And I'm like, "Or else what?" I said, "What are you gonna do, Tim?" And listen, that's my brother and me. I don't know. I just, sometimes this is going, okay? So he gets out of his car after I say that, and my sister-in-law panics and she screams for my brother. And the minute she said, "Nick," I looked at her and I said, "No." And she said, "I'm sorry." So here he comes. He puts his dog on the leash and I can just see him walking. Like, I already know what's gonna happen. This is awful. This is terrible. And now Tim's like, "Oh yeah, call Nick, call for Nick. Oh yeah, what's Nick gonna do?" And I'm like, "Tim, please. I don't want to find out what Nick's gonna do. I've seen what Nick's done. Please." And my brother was like, "What's the problem here?" And Tim now gets completely out of his car, turns his car off, gets completely out of it and walks around the other side. And he's like, "What are you gonna do?" "Oh yeah, the big bad Nick, what are you gonna do?" And my brother does that thing where he pulls his shorts up and he flicks his cigarette, and I'm like, great. Okay, part 3 from Nightmare on, why do I do that every time? Nightmare from Hell. I did it again. Oh. Neighbor from Hell. Anyways, moving on. So my brother does a thing. He pulls his pants up, and I already know what y'all are thinking. You're gonna judge me. I jump in front of Tim, and I put my arms out, and I'm facing my brother, and I'm like, I'm protecting Tim. So I'm looking at my brother, and I'm like, "Nick, look at me. Don't. Please don't." Because a side note, my brother used to be a different person, okay? He's, over the last, 5 years, he's made so much growth. He's done so much. He's stayed out of trouble, out of jail, prison, programs, okay? I'm so proud of him, and I would hate for somebody like Tim to immediately send him back. Because I'm telling y'all, if Nick gets in trouble, this is not going to be a slap on the wrist. This is going to be, he's going away for a long time. And I'm not letting Tim be the cause of that. So now I'm between them. And I'm not going to let you hit Tim. You're going to have to hit me before you hit Tim. And he's screaming at me, "Get out the way, get out the way." And now Tim is shoving me. He's trying to also get me out of the way, and he's shoving the back of my head. He's shoving my back. He's using his elbows to push me forward to try to get in between them. And I'm clearly just making this worse, because now Nick is like, "Oh, you want to push my sister? You want to push my sister?" And I'm like, "Stop! Please stop!" And so I start yelling for my grandma, because keep in mind, my whole family is here, but we all have boats, and everyone left to go fishing. So the only people here are me, my sister-in-law, my other sister, and my grandma, who just had surgery. So I'm yelling. I'm like, "Grandma, grandma, grandma." And then my grandma's now running out, and she sees what's going on, and she's like, no, stop, Nick, stop. So she gets up there, and she's telling all of us to go. My sister is trying to calm my brother down. I'm telling her, stop touching him. He's gonna freak out. Even worse if you like push it on him. Like, so, and she also has already called everyone on the boats. My sister called everyone and was like, Nick and Tim are fighting, get back now. So everyone came back immediately. And by the time we all get to the front of the cabin, they pulled up on the boats. And I'm staying in the back watching Tim and my grandma because I want to make sure Tim don't do nothing to my grandma. And he's screaming at my grandma. And I'm like, this is really hard. Like, I thought I was gonna fit this into 3 parts. I don't think I'm gonna, because this just gets so much worse. So now he's screaming at my grandma, saying that she needs to keep a leash on us. She needs to put a muzzle on him. And my brother is still screaming back at Tim. And so Tim starts screaming, just wait, Nick, I got something for you. And then he started yelling, blue shirt's dead tonight, blue shirt's dead tonight, because my brother was wearing a blue shirt. And he was like, blue shirt's dead tonight. Oh, I got something for you, Nick. Just wait, I got something for you. Blue shirt's dead tonight. And I'm like, great. So my brother was like, oh, I'm here. Aim high, I'm right here. Excuse my voice. I'm going to just try to push out this last bit. So Tim is now going up to his house because he actually lives at the top of the hill. So when you first come in the driveway, if you take a right, there's another drive, and that leads to his house. And the cabin is just that, it's just his cabin. So he goes up there. Now we're all at the front of the cabin, and everyone's arguing, everyone's talking over each other. My grandma, sorry grandma, but she's blaming my brother because of his past and his past anger issues and blah blah blah. And my brother's like, oh yeah, blame me, it's always my fault. And I'm like, grandma, that's not what happened, just listen to me. And no one's listening, and everyone's talking, and I'm like, everyone be quiet and let me talk. So now I explain everything, and my grandma's like, well, if that's true and that's the case, we need to call the police and have them come here and give our statements and blah blah blah, so they at least know what's going on in case something escalates. And then I'm like, yeah, I agree, let's do that. Well, then my stepdad's like, I want everyone out of the camper because it's behind the cabin. I want everyone out of the camper, and I want everyone in the cabin because it's safer just in case Tim wants to do something stupid. So that's what we do. Everyone's in the cabin now, but me, my husband, my mom, my stepdad, my grandma, and Nick, we're all standing like right outside the cabin door. And here comes Tim. He comes flying down, goes over to his cabin. He like takes his sound system out, and then he plays some like heavy metal song, like Blood Will Pour, Spill, Rain. I don't remember. It was something like that. My mom would know. And he blasts it, try to intimidate us. And then he walks over to like the property where we can now see each other. We're only like, I don't know, 6 feet apart. And he pulls his thing out, and he right in front of us. So now everyone's like, get in the cabin now. And my brother wants to stay out there, and he was like, what do you want to do, Tim? What do you want to do? And he's calling him a pussy because he pulled that out instead of like just handling it. And then we're like, get in the cabin now. And we force Nick into the cabin. And now everyone else in my family also has a... So now everyone went and got theirs. And we got people standing at the back of the cabin door and people at the front. And then I have all the kids like tucked away in a corner where it's safest, including my 4-month-old baby that I have in his car seat, because I just feel like that's the safest place for him. I am terrified, but I'm not letting any of the kids know what's going on. I'm like, we're having fun, right? We're playing a game. And now there was like this big boat motor that we were working on that was just inside the cabin door. My stepdad puts it in front of the door, and then he's got his thing like on top of it, so in case Tim pops out and wants to turn it into something, they're ready to turn it into something if they have to. So now my mom's on the phone with 911. She's like, you guys have to get here like right now, like something really bad is about to happen. And then they take 14 minutes to get there, but meanwhile you can hear like Tim yelling my brother's name, come out to play, Nick, come out, Nick. And we're like pretty much have to strap Nick to a chair to keep him from going out there. So the police get there, and we're like watching from the windows, they pull up deep. They got a bunch of friggin' cops with them in full gear. They got the big, things with them. They're like, drop it, get down on the ground and drop it, and come out of the cabin. And Tim's yelling back at them that he's not coming out nowhere unless they show him a warrant. And they're like, get out now, get your face on the ground now. And I'm like, this is actually crazy. Well, they get Tim out on the ground, they arrest him, they take statements from all of us. They're like, we need you guys to come down and give statements, explain what happened. So we do. And then the next day, we for some reason have to like go to court for this and explain it even more. And then they let Tim out the very next day and pretty much say he'll have his day in court, but until then, there's nothing we can do. That's a problem for us. So okay, so they tell us that Tim's gonna be let go in the morning, that he's been directed to stay away from us, but they can't make him do anything. Like, they can't tell him he can't go down to his cabin or anything because it's his property. But that they did tell him he shouldn't go down to the cabin until we leave, which was just going to be in 2 days. And that, let us know if anything happens because I have a restraining order on him and so does my brother. But no one else could get one. No one else, qualified for one, just me and my brother. And so he was like, they said, Tim can't talk to you or your brother, but he can, talk to anyone else. And including the kids, because I was like, could he talk to the kids? And they were like, yeah, he could talk to anyone else besides you two. And I'm like, oh, great, I love that. And they were like, yeah, so, good luck. Hopefully nothing bad happens. So now it's the next day, and Tim doesn't come down, but he sits at the top of the hill in his Jeep. So, when we're in front of our cabin, you can see the top of the hill. And he parks his Jeep at the top of the hill, just watches us for, hours. And then every once in a while, he'll, flick his brights on at us. So, we call it in, and they were like, there's really nothing we can do. He's technically not doing anything wrong. But, let us know if he does do something wrong. Let us know if he does something worse, or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, great, is this not a form of intimidation? He can just do whatever he wants. So someone was already leaving that day, so all the kids went home with them. We didn't want any of the kids staying. And then we stayed our final 2 days, and he did that every day. He watched us every day, just letting us know that hey, I'm watching you. And also, I said in the video before this, we were 6 feet apart. That's not true. We were 12 feet apart. Because I started really thinking about where our front door was, where the gate was that separated it. It was 12 feet. But either way, way too close for comfort. And so that was a few years ago, and every year we no longer bring the kids. He's been a problem every year. He's just done things to try to scare us or whatever. He wants us to sell. And I also want to sell. This is somewhere we've came for ever, since I was a kid, since my grandma was a baby. So it's been passed down for generations, and it's breaking my grandma's heart to even think about selling it. But I'm also yeah, but we can't even bring the kids up here anymore. Is this even worth it? She's like, I just don't want to give him what he wants. And I'm like, well, neither do I. But what's more important? Not giving him what he wants, or all of us being safe and feeling comfortable and having the kids back. It's a lot. I'm gonna make another video answering some questions, because you guys have a lot of questions, and obviously you can tell that I'm sick. I also have 3 kids of my own that I'm trying to juggle, so I'm not always getting these videos out fast enough for you guys, but you'll just have to bear with me. If you're invested, you're invested, okay? So I'm gonna post that one either later tonight or tomorrow. So let me know if you guys have any other questions. So